So many people don't know that the Labyrinth of Egypt is like a real thing. It's not a myth, and it was rediscovered 13 years ago, but like nobody knows. Well, some people know. If you know, you know, but if you don't, here's this video. About 100 miles down from Cairo is a place called Hawara, and it's pretty unique in Egypt because most of the desert in the Sahara is it's desert. Apart from the Hawara, it's like a little oasis. It's full of like gorgeous vegetation, literally as like you imagine an oasis to be. Pretty cool because it is where the Labyrinth of Egypt is, or was, or is. So the pyramid at Hawara, there's not a lot there now. It's not that interesting to see when you are there because it's basically just sand and what was left of a pyramid because it was made out of mud brick. It wasn't built out of the same hard stone that the Giza pyramids were. However, the inside of the pyramid and all underground is all like megalithrically built, and that's still all intact. You can't go inside the pyramid anymore because there is this sort of like ground penetrating water table that is rising, unless you swim, because it's literally underwater. According to history, around the Hawara pyramid is a huge underground labyrinth with 2 floors, up to 3,000 chambers, and it was the place where they hid they stored the antiquities, the secrets, and the histories, and all of the pre-Egyptian history, and basically all the stuff that we are hunting for. It's in that labyrinth. Like, if we could literally get in there, all the secrets would be answered. So yeah, pretty cool. There was a historical dude called Herodotus, Greek guy, and he went there. He described what he saw and he was freaking impressed. He says, when one had entered the sacred enclosure, one found a temple surrounded by columns, 40 to each side, and this building had a roof made of a single stone, carved with panels and richly adorned with excellent paintings. It contained memorials of the homeland of each of the kings, as well as the temples and the sacrifices carried out in it, and all skillfully worked in paintings of the greatest beauty. It said it contained memorials of the homeland of each of the kings. But they're in Egypt, they're in the homeland. Weird to say homeland, not like memorials of Egypt. Did they mean like Atlantis, or the Atlantean Empire? Because if you didn't know, the Egyptian like oral tradition of where they came from as a society was that they were survivors from a deluge, from an island that disappeared in a day and a night, and they travelled to Egypt and they recolonized and they restarted the Egyptian civilization. That's their story. It's written on the Temple of Edfu. It's written there. Just saying. So interesting. It contained memorials of the homeland. Imagine if we go down and we get into the labyrinth and it's just all this Atlantis stuff. Like, oh my god, so exciting. Right, back to where we were. Flinders Petrie. He was excavating in the 1800s, and he had a little look around the area and he found a huge stone slab, like freaking huge, and he was like, we found the foundation of what must have been the labyrinth. It must have been destroyed in time. It must have been, the labyrinth must have been destroyed. So not much was thought about it until in 2008, this French dude who was an artist, bit random, but he decided he funded a whole trip out there, and he did it in conjunction with the Egyptian authorities, and they went and they scanned the whole area around the Hawara pyramid to see if they could find anything underground with like ground penetrating radar. It turns out they did. Yeah, they found it. They found a lot. Very exciting. Very exciting. They said that it was a little bit hard because obviously the water table that is rising underneath Hawara was getting in the way of the findings, but they could definitely see chambers, underground chambers, walls, pillars. Like, they could see it all. They could get all the data from it. It was big, exciting news. But do you remember this coming out in the news? Do you remember this being on telly? No, you didn't. I'll tell you for why. This is what happened. Very exciting. They were about to announce the findings of the Matterhorn expedition. The Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities shut it down and said that they were not going to be approving the release of the findings. They did not want that to be public knowledge. You go away, get out and shut up. Why? And then when I looked at who the Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities was in 2008, it was, any guesses? Dr. Zai Hawass. That guy is a freaking thorn in history, man. He's the guy's like gatekeeping and roadblocking human history for everybody to... Oh, if I could just... I would biff him on the nose. What is cool is about 2 years later, they did decide to release some. They were like, fingers up at the Egyptian authorities, we're going to release what we find. I did manage to find a copy of like the report of the expedition. I was hoping to see more of like the imagery, the ground penetrating radar imagery. Somebody somewhere will have a copy of them, and I am just begging you, please leak them out.